Hey everybody, welcome to Review from the Top. So I've got another drone review for you guys. Now I know I've been doing a lot of those lately, but I promise this one's going to be a quick one. This one is not nearly as in-depth or detailed as the past few drone reviews that I've done, so this one will be quick. This is the U61 by Loolinn. Now I've never heard of Loolinn before this video, but they reached out to me and asked if I would do a review of their new beginner-friendly drone. And that's what they call it. They're heavily advertising this for kids and for first-time drone flyers. And I got to say, I've been very impressed with it. For a company I've never heard of that came out of nowhere, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how long they've been around. I don't know any of the details of their company. But I do know that this U61 is a great first-time drone. And I'll get more to that in a second. But real quick, I wanted to go over everything that you get. And I want to go through the setup and how it flies and show you guys. For those of you that are first-time flyers, or maybe you want to get one of these for Christmas, you want to get your kids a Christmas present, or you're starting to think about those things, I highly recommend not just the U61, but a drone of this style. Every time I tell friends or family or those looking to get into drones and learning how to fly, I highly recommend something like this. It's very easy, very beginner friendly. It's got blade guards, blade protectors. That is huge if you're learning. I'll demonstrate more later, but I've been bumping this thing into walls and flying it through obstacles and stuff like that, and it's remained completely unhurt. So saves you some props, saves you some headache, saves you having to completely set it up and relaunch it. So these blade protectors are great. And this Loolinn U61 is very stable in the air and it hovers real nice. So it's a great option for first-time flyers and for kids. So I'll get more to that later. But here's everything that you get. You do get the drone. As I said, the drone comes with these blade protectors built in as part of the airframe. It's light, but that's a good thing. It has a camera. It's not a very high definition camera. You'll see as we get to the footage later, it's not meant for like taking video and taking pictures. Though it can do those things, this one's more for teaching you how to fly through the FPV, through the first person view of what your controller sees. So that's really all this camera is for. It surprisingly doesn't have that bad of lag. I've flown some of these that have really bad lag and it's really hard to fly. I've flown a lot of drones, even cheap ones. And I got to say, this one, for its price point and how it flies, I'd say this is one of the best ones I've flown. This is not a paid advertisement. Loolinn just sent me this and asked me to review it. So this is just my personal opinion, but this one really flies very well. Also, you get 2 battery packs. So that adds a little bit of extra flight time. It's nice. They take about an hour to charge, and you get about 8 minutes of flight time out of it, 7 or 8, depending on how you're flying. So that's not bad. It's a decent amount of flight time for something this small and for what it can do. You do get a nice controller. It's comfortable in the hand. It's a decent size, so it's comfortable to hold. It's not super portable, doesn't fold up or anything like that. But again, this is for kids and for first-time flyers. This isn't really something you're going to slip in your pocket and take with you. This is more something for flying around the house. It does have this nice cell phone holder. I wasn't super convinced that I would like the design of this cell phone holder, but it actually works surprisingly well. I'll show you that with my Samsung Galaxy Note 20. But it holds it securely. I don't feel like it's going to fall. I don't feel like I'm going to drop it. So I'm very happy with this. Even though it's a unique style, I'm very happy with the design. It works well. Not a lot of controls, but there are some well laid out buttons on the top that are labeled. And that's another thing that I want to cover about the Loolinn. They've given you a lot of support material. In addition to the controller, you get this little overlay card that comes with it. And it lays over top of the controller, and you can actually put the cell phone holder in and keep it there if you wanted to fly with it on. But it just gives you a refresher of all the different buttons and what every button and switch does while you're flying. This is fantastic. I wish more companies did stuff like this. It's just a quick little handy reference guide that you can just keep with you while you're flying. It does a great job of just refreshing the controls for you. You also get this quick start guide that just goes through the quick pictures of how to download the app. You got a QR code. And then it goes through the quick setup on how to connect the drone, how to launch it, all those things real quick, real handy, right in this little sheet. I was able to do everything that my first time set up, my first time flying. I was able to do all of it with just this little sheet. So it works well, but I'll get more into those details later. And then on the back of this, there's a flight control sheet that just gives you one more basic reminder of what the different controls do. This does too, but this is just a visual indicator of those things. In addition to these little quick start guides, you do get a detailed manual. This thing is 24 pages. Everything else is in another language. So the first 24 pages are English, and everything else is in other languages. But it's it's a decently detailed manual. It's tiny, but it goes into a lot of detail on how to set everything up, how to use the different switches, troubleshooting, stuff like that. So for something this small, it's well written and easy to understand. So I'm pretty impressed with this little manual as well. In addition to all these things, you also get a USB charging cable, you get extra props, and you do get a mini screwdriver, a extra prop screw or screw of some sort. I'm not sure what that's for actually. It doesn't look like it's for the props, but you get an extra screw and you get a little blade remover tool, which is for popping these free bladed props off. So they give you all the little things that you need. No carrying case or anything like that, but you don't really need it. Again, this is not one for like carrying around with you. This is just great for flying around the house. That's my opinion, but it does well for what it is. So that's everything you get. Let's get right into the review, and I'll show you guys how to set this thing up and how to use it. Okay, guys, I want to get right into the flight review portion of this and just give you a good look at the Loolinn U61 and then show you how it flies. The drone itself is light, like I said. It's not real heavy. It does have these protected blade covers on it, and it does have an adjustable camera. Now, you can't control it from the ground with a controller, but you can manually adjust it. But generally, I find that you're just going to want to leave this all the way in the up position, because the further down you point it, all it really does is stare at the floor, and you're going to want to see where you're flying. So I highly recommend you leave it all the way up, but it is nice that you can adjust it if you need to. So that's that. Like I said, you get 2 battery packs. Now, I don't think I'll be able to go through all the flight features in a single battery, but I do have 2 batteries, so I'll try to cover everything that this thing can do during those 2 battery packs, but I'm not going to try to squeeze everything into a single flight. So I'm going to put a battery in, and I'm going to actually follow the steps that are on this quick start guide to the letter, so you can see how easy it is and how well this all works. So the first thing they give you is this QR code that takes you to the app. I believe this is Android, but the Loolinn app is also available on Apple as far as I know. But I do have an Android phone, so it took me right to the Loolinn app, which you can see right there. So the next thing it tells you to do is turn on the power switch on the drone. So we're going to turn that on. See a little red light flashing. Set that there. Next thing you want to do is turn on or connect your Wi-Fi to the drone's Wi-Fi. Now, you can actually fly this drone with your phone, and using only your phone, you can fly it. So if that was what you were looking to do, you actually wouldn't even need to put the controller on right now. Once you're connected to the drone, you can use your phone as the controller. And I've flown a lot of these style like phone controller, simulated controllers. I've flown a lot of them, and this one really flies the best as far as any of the ones I've flown yet. And I'm not just saying that, like this one actually you can control. A lot of the ones are really twitchy and really laggy, but this one actually flies really well with the phone, so I'm pretty impressed. I prefer the controller still all the time, but this one does pretty good. All right, as you can see, I've connected to the drone. It says connected without internet, which is what I would expect. So I'm going to go back to the Loolinn app. I'm going to close this and go back to, back to my Loolinn app. After I'm connected to the drone, the quick start guide says to open the Loolinn app, which is what I'm going to do. It gives you this warning, please review the help to prepare for your first flight. And if you did that, it would actually take you to the manual. So you can have a virtual manual of everything that's in there. You just zoom in on it and it gives you all the details that are in this little manual here. So that's nice that they give it to you right in the app there. And then also you can contact technical support directly, which is really nice. I like that they give you that option. But I'm going to go back to home. And we are in the Loolinn app. So we're going to go to control. Actually, I don't want to go to control. I do want to go to control. Sorry. Control right there. So we're going to go to that. You can see what the phone is seeing now, or what the drone is seeing now. And as you can tell, it's not super high quality. It's not meant to be a photo taking, video recording machine. This is just to give you that first person view as you're flying. And the lag isn't bad. It's usable. So I'm able to fly in some pretty tight spaces and zip around this little sunroom here in the back of our house. I'm able to zip around here really easily without any issues. So this thing does really well in tight spaces, and the video feed is pretty good. So as you can see, we're connected to the drone and we are streaming our video. So the next thing I want to do is turn on the controller. I'm just going to press that controller button as it says right there. Then I'm going to pull down on this left stick. You can see that light flash in the back of the drone. If I pull it on the left stick, it goes beep beep, and both of these go solid, telling me that it's connected. So now that that's connected, I'm going to calibrate it. Calibrating it is this left stick right down here, or the right stick down here, I'm sorry. So I'm going to pull that down to the right corner, and you should see that drone light flash and stop, and that means it's calibrated, it's level, it's ready to go. You're going to want to do that step after every time you crash it. You might have to turn it off and turn it on again sometimes, but you do want to make sure that you're calibrated so that the gyros inside there know what horizontal is. You might see some sporadic flight response if you don't do that. So that's just a quick tip. Now, the quick start guide tells us we're ready to take off. There's two ways to do that. We can pull in on the center sticks, and I'll show you that in a second, or we can just press the auto takeoff button. So I'm going to put my phone in the controller, or into the phone holder. And as I said, this is a really simple design. It just clips on your phone like this. I don't know that I'm going to trust this spring for the rest of its life, but as of right now, it's sturdy and it holds the phone well and securely, and I don't feel like I'm going to drop it. It's pretty tightly in there, so I'm pretty impressed with the simplicity of the design and how well it works for its design. So I'm going to set this quick start guide away. I don't need that right now, but there are two ways to take off, like I said. I'm going to try to do all of this with both the controller and the drone in the shot. But as you can see from the quick start guide, if I press those two sticks down into the center, the drone fires up and it's ready to go. So, and if I did that and gave it some throttle, I could go fly that way. That's one way to take off. The other way to take off is the auto takeoff button. Now that is this button over here. You can see this little up down button. If I press that, the drone is going to automatically take off and it's going to hover in one spot. I'm actually going to do it over here just to give you guys a better view of that. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to press the auto takeoff button. And it just jumps into the air and starts hovering. Now the same thing works for the landing. So if I wanted to land it, I press that same button, press auto land, and it's going to land itself. Now this button also functions as an emergency stop. Now I'm going to show you guys that over the couch because it's a handy feature. Let's say you're flying and you're going into the neighbor's yard and you don't want it to go into the neighbor's yard or it's going to hit somebody. In the air while it's flying, you can press and hold that land button, even if it's in the air. Press and hold it, and it's going to kill the drone. I'm sure my hand was blocking that. Sorry, guys. But basically, it's going to kill the drone. Before it has a chance to land, it's going to turn off all the motors. I'll show you that one more time. The fall's not going to hurt it, so I'm just going to show you this. Press and hold that button. You can see it just falls. So that's great for emergencies. If something's happening, it's headed somewhere you don't want it to be, you can press that emergency stop button and kill the drone. So that's real nice. Now, another quick thing I want to show you is you can press down on both of these buttons, and as you press down on them, they have different functions. This left button is a trim button. This left trigger, this left control stick, is a trim button. And I'll show you what that does. All right, so you see how the drone is drifting. It's going forward and right a little bit. It's not really holding its position in one spot. So in order to fix that, I'm going to use the left trim button. This left stick, if I press down on it, it enters trim mode, and whatever inputs that I put in with the right stick is going to compensate in the trim. And I'll show you what I mean. See how it's going forward? I'm going to correct that by pressing down on the left stick and pressing back a couple clicks. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's not doing it as aggressively. I don't know if you can hear those beeps, but it's a lot more stable already. It's still drifting a little bit to the right, so I'm going to press the left stick and give it a couple clicks of right or left trim to compensate for that, and we'll see what that did. It's a lot better, but it's still drifting to the right. So I'm going to do that one more time, press down on the left stick. Oh, actually that looks pretty good. Oh, drift. I already gave it 3 more clicks. Now that feels pretty good. As you can see, it's hands off. There's still a little bit of a drift and a tiny bit of yaw. I can correct the yaw too by pressing on the right stick. But overall, it's doing pretty well. So, that's the trim function. You can really get it dialed in. Now, keep in mind, as you go around different obstacles and stuff like that, it does make it harder for the drone to hold its position and hold its course, but overall, the trim function works really surprisingly well. Now, one thing I didn't do was I didn't start the recorder. So I'm going to press this record button right here. And now what that is going to do, there's no onboard storage on the drone. So all of the footage is stored directly to your phone, but it is going to store that on a folder in your phone, in your gallery, so you can go back and watch the videos later. Again, not super clear videos, but that's not what this thing is for. You can see as I'm flying, the video itself is enough to give me a good idea of where I'm at and where it's going, and it's pretty responsive. So, also the camera button, you have a camera button here too, and that just takes photos. Again, not super high quality photos, but it does record pictures and videos. You can do the same functions with these two buttons right here on the back of the remote controller, or on the top. You have a video button and a camera button, and both of those do record. They do the same thing as pressing these virtual buttons here. So another thing to keep in mind. Now, another one that I want to tell you is what the right stick does. If you press down on the right stick, that enters the different flight modes. So I'll show you what I mean there. I'm going to take off again. The number of beeps that you hear when you press down on the right stick corresponds with what mode it's in. So, I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to press down on the right stick. I heard one beep, so now it's in beginner mode. This is the lowest setting, the lowest mode. It's still pretty responsive, but it's not nearly as responsive as it is in the other modes. So you can fly it pretty well. It's still pretty peppy. But if I go into mode 2, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to press again on this button. Oh, it went to 3 beeps. All right, there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. So I did 1. Let me show you 2. There's 2. So I know it's really hard to tell, but it is certainly more responsive than it was in 1. It's more aggressive, it does a lot more lean, and it goes faster. So it's really a lot more peppy. And then I got one more mode. I'm going to press that. You heard 3 beeps. Now this is the high-speed mode. This is super fun. This is where you can really like tear around the house and really put it through its paces and get it flying aggressively. And like I said, it is really responsive. It's really peppy. It responds really well to control inputs. There's not a lot of lag. I've been very impressed with this thing. So let me show you real quick too. I'm gonna put it back in beginner mode while I'm flying in here, just to help show you guys. But this is what I was talking about, how beneficial it is to have the blade protectors. But I just want to give you a demonstration of what I mean by that. You're flying around the house, you hit things. Any other drone with exposed blades, that's going to crash it. But those blade guards do a great job of just letting it bounce off. I mean, just flying through obstacles and flying through things, like you're not worried about hitting things and crashing all the time. Now, it will cause crashes. You will be flying around and zipping through someplace, and you'll still have a crash. But that's where the emergency stop comes in. If you get in a pickle where you can't do anything and you want to stop it, you can either press the land button or you can just hit that emergency stop, like I showed you, and just kill it. Now, that's another good thing to mention. All of the same functions are also on the controller here with those virtual sticks. So I'll show you what I mean by that. But you do have on-screen functions here as well that you can use to fly. Now, if I press this button here in the top corner of the screen, you can see that it gives me some different options here. And this is the option for the virtual sticks. I'll show you more about that in a second. But you also have a tilt to fly. And what that means is the phone itself is the actual, the accelerometers in the phone itself give you your right stick inputs. Now, this is a little bit gimmicky if you ask me. I'm not a super huge fan of this, but you can use it to fly. I'll show it to you here in a second. First, I'm going to turn the controller off for that. So once I turn off the controller, I'm still connected to the drone. you can still see my video feed here. So I'm still connected, but I am going to turn on these virtual sticks. So I press that button, and then I press this button, and as you can see, I've got the same virtual sticks that are on the controller, and they have the same control, the same inputs. It might not let me unlock it that way. There it goes. So that unlocked it, but I have the same option to do the auto takeoff with this little button here. So I'm going to press that, and I'm going to auto take off. I'm going to try to show you guys everything that it's doing. Now, the thing that I don't like about these virtual sticks is you have no tactile sense. Like, you really have no concept when you're looking at the drone of how much you're moving the stick. So it really makes it difficult to know how much you're controlling it. But this does work really well. You can fly it surprisingly well, and it just overlays the sticks over your video feed. So there's still quite a bit that you can do with these virtual sticks. Now, it's already buzzing at me that I've got a low battery. So I'm going to try to take off again, but I don't think it's going to let me. No, it has low battery. So the battery is dead on the drone. So we're going to swap battery packs, and I'll show you the rest of the functions. Okay, I got a fresh battery pack in. I did have to reconnect the drone, the app to the drone. I had to make sure that my Wi-Fi was still connected to the drone's Wi-Fi, and it was. It automatically reconnected, but I had to reopen the app and reconnect the drone that way. Now again, if you're flying with the phone, this would be your initial setup. As soon as you connect to the drone, you'd stop there. You don't need your controller. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fly it again here with the phone controller, just to show you these other functions. So I'm going to go to my virtual sticks. I'm going to do the auto takeoff. Press that button and we're in the air, and the same button here is the auto land. So I'm going to press the auto land to show you that. It automatically lands. So you can do the same unlock using your phone, your down and in phone controls as well, but that's a little bit twitchier. Again, it's really hard with these virtual sticks to get everything in the right spot. But you do have also you can change your speed setting like you can with the controller, but I believe you only have 2 speed settings when you're flying with the phone. You've got a low and a high. So the high works well, but it's a lot scarier because, again, it's hard to know, especially if you have a screen protector on your phone, how fast you're flying or how much stick inputs you're giving it. So if you're learning, definitely stay in the low mode. Just stick with that. You can't go wrong. All right, I'm going to land it real quick. I don't know why it does that bouncing thing. Just press auto land. She doesn't want to get on the ground. She just wants to keep flying. So the other thing that I wanted to show you was this tilt to control function. I'm going to auto take off. Again, I feel like this is more of a gimmick, but I'll show you anyway. Auto take off, and now my phone is actually the forward, backward, left, and right control for the drone. So you still have to use your throttle input with your left stick, but once the drone is flying, you tilt your phone to control it. All right, I'm gonna land. Again, I don't really love that. I think it's more of a gimmick, but it is cool. Kids probably love it. This drone doesn't have any kind of flip function that I'm aware of. You can't do a roll or flip, but again, I think that's a gimmick as well. I love that this thing just flies, and it flies well. There is one other thing that I wanted to show you. There's headless mode. Oh, I guess there's 2 more things in this tap to fly thing. Let me turn this off real quick. I'm going to go back to what headless mode does. I'll show you that real quick. I personally recommend to my friends that are learning to fly that just completely avoid headless mode whenever possible. All headless mode does is confuse you. I guess it's okay if you're learning, but it doesn't actually teach you the actual controls. It teaches you to rely on directional inputs. It's the same gimmick as this tilting your phone to control it. You're never actually going to do that with a real drone, so why even bother learning it? Just learn the conventional controls. Just stick with that, and you'll serve yourself a lot better. But if you are interested in the headless mode, all that does, let me take off real quick. Headless mode just basically means the drone doesn't care which way it's facing. So now if I press forward, the drone's going to go forward. Backward, it's going to go backward. Left, it's going to go left. And right, it's going to go right in relation to the drone because it's pointing away from me. Now in headless mode, Well, it's not going to let me do it before I... Let's just land it real quick. Headless mode, it doesn't care which way it's facing. It's just going to go as based off of the way the relationship from the drone to the controller. I'll show you what I mean by that. Take off. I'm in headless mode. I'm not in headless mode. This is normal flying mode. All right, now I'm in headless mode. To show you what I mean by that, get lower. I'm going to give the drone some left yaw so that now the drone is facing towards the wall. But if I press backwards, the drone doesn't fly directly backwards like it normally would. It flies closer to me. Same thing if I push away. It doesn't fly. It's actually flying to the right now, but I'm not giving it right input. I'm giving it away input. And same thing with left. Instead of going to the left, it actually goes forward because that's the way it's facing. So headless mode just uses whatever way the drone is pointing. It disregards its orientation. It doesn't have a head. It's headless. It disregards its orientation that it's facing, and it does all 4 of these inputs based on you. So as the drone goes in a different direction, you have to make sure that you're following it, because these inputs are also always going to be related to where you are. So as you press away, the drone goes away from you, regardless of which way it's facing. And as you point towards you, the drone flies towards you, regardless of which way it's facing. So you can still spin it with your yaw stick, but this right stick is going to always do it in relation to you, the controller. So one last thing to show you is this tap to fly. This is another gimmick, but I did want to show you. If you take off the drone, do it the conventional way, all this is, and I haven't really gotten it to work great yet, but what this does is puts a box It's really hard to get both of these in here, so I can't control it now. But what it does is basically just makes a line, and all of your control inputs are a line. And what that means, try to get a little bit more in the open here. If I make a quick little box, the drone's going to fly a quick little box. Well, it's going to try to. But that's the thing that I don't like about it, is the drone has no reference. These aren't like GPS commands. The drone has no reference of where it is in real time. So as you make a box, all the drone's doing is following the control inputs that you did. So it's basically saying down, right, forward, left. And the drone has no idea how far it's going. There's no relation to how far you make that line. If I made my box real tiny, maybe it would have done better and not hit the wall. But again, it's not really like a GPS-based thing, so it's hard to get any kind of accuracy out of it. It's more of just a gimmick to fly around the house using another option. So keep that in mind. I think I covered everything. There's a VR mode here, and all that does is split your phone screen into 2 different screens so that you can watch your, you can slip it into a VR headset and use that with the controller, because you're going to need the controller if your VR headset isn't there. You can't use your phone to control it. So I think that's self-explanatory, but I believe that is everything. We've got all of our controls. Last thing down here is your gallery. You can go back and look at all the videos that you recorded with this drone. So again, I got about 7 to 8 minutes on each battery based on how you're flying, which is a good amount of time. It's very responsive, flies very well. Overall, I can't say enough good things about this little Loolinn U61. In fact, I'll say one more thing about the video, but as I was flying this, my wife noticed, and she thought it looked like fun, and she actually asked me if she could fly it. So I'll cut to a clip here in a second of my wife flying this around the sunroom. Her first time flying. I've been flying drones my whole life. My wife has never asked or touched any of my drones, but in just a few minutes, she was flying this thing around the sunroom quickly, easily, without hitting anything. And even when she did, the drone survived just fine. It's doing great. And actually, when we were done, she said, "That's fun. Can I have this?" So I consider that a win all around. Good job, Loolinn. You made a drone flyer out of my wife. So Anyway, that's all I got for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. If you're a first-time flyer or you're looking for a easy, quick, fun Christmas present for your kids, check out this Loolinn U61. I'll leave a link in the comments and give you guys access to that. So anyway, that's all I got. Thanks, guys.